Hello, Facebook Live. How are you doing today? Welcome to today's live. Today, I want to talk to you about awakening. So, let's have a conversation about awakening. How do you lead your business after your spiritual awakening? How do you lead your business after spiritual awakening, right? So, for those of you who are new to my world, you're welcome. I'm Sonita. And for the past literally 2 years or so, I have really been going through my spiritual awakening, and I've seen the change and the transition in how leading a business and running a business is before an awakening and after an awakening. And today I want to talk to you about that. So how you're going to lead your business before you are awakened is totally different for how you're going to lead your business after you are awakening. This is because who you are before you spiritually awaken, who you are before you wake up, is totally different from who you are after you are awakening. Before you're awakening, probably you're going to lead from still the heart, from a place of love, but what is really important to you is going to change. So what happens is that I see is that we get to this place where on your spiritual ascension journey, the things that you used to do before your awakening no longer makes sense. And this is not just about business, it's also about your personal life. The things you used to do before your spiritual awakening, how you used to lead, the conversations you used to have, the friends you used to have, the clients you used to work with, the way you used to navigate life as a whole, who you are innately before you notice that it begins to change. And what happens is that as you grow and ascend in consciousness, you get to this place where you are awakened, right? Like you fully know you're awakened, you've been through a dark night of the soul, the deconditioning and all things. But then you get to this place where now you're awakened, you know who you are and what you stand for, but then the way that you need to do things also need to change. And this is where we often get in that loop of wanting to go back to doing things the way we used to do them, because it's what our brain is used to, it's what makes sense, and it's what we have evidence in our brain that works. So it's like that thing of almost going back to your comfort zone after you have spiritually awakened, right? So you want to see it like maybe the way you were running your business is maybe doing it in a certain way that maybe wasn't fully in alignment. But now you have to change your business model. You have to change who you're talking to, or you have to change the way you're running things. And maybe you were being led by the ego in some shape or form, but now you have to let go of the ego and start leading from the heart, right? But then what you're used to, which is what your brain is used to, what you were used to doing and what used to work, what you have evidence that works and what you know is the way and is the thing that works for you, is like, this is not what I know. So you get to this place where you are getting the intuitive leading, where spirit is guiding you to move in a certain direction, take certain actions, do certain things, and live and run your life and your business differently. But there comes that is like that little resistance. That little resistance because this is uncomfortable. This is not what I'm used to. This doesn't make sense. I have never done this before. And in this state, when you're in this place, in this phase of transition, right, of going from the way you were operating before and the way you are now being called to operate, you get to that place where you need to make that decision. And most people either, one, fall back into doing things the way that they used to do, which is we go back to navigating life the same way. We go back to having the same conversations. We go back to having the same friends. We go back to doing the same thing because it's comfortable, because we are used to that, because it makes sense. Or in that moment, we get to lead ourselves in order to be led by the Spirit. So there's a concept that I usually talk about, which is leading yourself to be led by the Spirit. As an intuitive or spiritual being, of course, you already know that you should be Spirit-led. Like, the things that Spirit tells you to do are never, or most of the time, not going to make sense to the brain. But then leading ourselves to actually becoming Spirit-led is a process in itself, right? Meaning it's a process that you need to go through in itself to learn to listen to your intuition, to learn to know the voice of your intuition. And more than that, to learn to act in alignment to what you are being called to do in the moment, without letting your brain, your mind, stop you, and without letting your consciousness stop you from ascending by taking that action. Because each time that Spirit guides you into a direction and into taking certain actions, it's because God, Source, the universe, know that there is an expansion that you are here, or that you will experience as a result of that action. But when you are used to not taking the action, and what you have evidence for in your brain is something else working, it's going to be scary. So this is where you need to now learn, how can I lead myself to be led by the Spirit, right? Because it's not just going to dawn on you that you're good at listening to your intuition, that you're good at taking action, that you're good at now trying to do things in this new way that you're being led to do. It's going to require you to literally know how to navigate through the fears, the discomfort, and the doubt that are going to show up in that moment. Because here's the thing, your brain is still there. The fact that you awaken, you know this, right? It doesn't mean that you don't have a mind, and it doesn't mean that you don't have a brain that is constantly trying to either stop you or trying to make you see things that are not there. So your job in that moment, when your brain is like, oh, we are used to doing this. This is how we are used to selling. This is the kind of offers we are used to creating. This is the thing that worked, right? And for me, this really held me back for the longest time. It was like, this is what worked. This is what we used to do. This is what made sense. This is how it used to be, right? And because this is how it used to be, this is what we should focus on. This is what we should focus on. So, but then, if you focus on that, is that really the path before? Because the path after your ascension. Because now, when you are before your awakening, who you are is totally different. And you know this. Because there are things that are going to make sense to you. There are things that are going to excite you. There are things that you're going to love. There are conversations you're going to have, experiences you enjoy. But as you ascend, you realize that I'm no longer loving these conversations. I'm no longer being moved by these things. And this is not how I desire to lead my life anymore. This is actually what is important to me. Because now what is important to you has changed. The things, your values have literally shifted. Your value system has literally shifted. So when you notice the difference in or the shift in values, what happens is that you then still try to want to act in alignment to the older value because it makes sense and because it's comfortable. But then it's like, what is really important to you now? And how can you act in alignment to that? And more than acting in alignment to that, how can you actually learn to start taking action from this place of who you are as an ascended being right here, right now, rather than who you've been told to be, what you've been told to do, and how you have, and literally the record that you have of how things are done and what works for you. So that is literally the work that you need to do. The work that you need to do is learning to let go of who you are before ascension and how you used to do things before, and literally step into the unknown of trusting spirit, guidance, angels, to literally guide you into the path that you're being called into. Because God knows the end, right? And you are here, of course, you got here because you trusted spirit in the first place. And if you trusted your spirit and your guides and your angels to get you here, then of course, that is still the same trust that we need to hold on to, that we need to stick to in order to get to that next level. So in this phase of who you are before and after, your priorities change. your alignment change. So learning to actually take action in alignment to who you are after is actually the game changer, right? And then this is so beautiful, because the new